I lost my father and mother. What else is there to live for? The world is a brutal place to live. The leaders use the common man for their selfish gain. How do you even sleep at night, mother? The politics of this world. The rich gets richer, and the poor, poorer. I was going to live life on my own terms, and let the chips fall where they may. We target, we plan, we execute.
Daddy, school fees, can't you?
Efe, you don't mean it!
We are cooking. Fuck it.
I'm in!
You understand that money? If you want it, you gotta throw that money, frost that money, fly that money. I love money, money.
Where is my money? I need names.
Bounties out on their mother's head, and 2 names have been mentioned.
One of them was Snake.
Where the fuck is he? You're getting out of control!
Power control. Control, how do you read?
I'm the girl who's going to bring you Snake's head.
Tell Mahmoud I'm ready.
Guys, I know that 2020 is a year of several surprises, but never did I think that Rattlesnake was going to be yet another rude surprise. I mean, I don't even know where to start from, but trust me when I say I am perplexed, I am shocked, I am flabbergasted. Everything you can think about right now is what I am feeling. But if you want to know what it is and what I have to say about this movie, please join me on the other side as I'm about to review the movie Rattlesnake. Okay guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Elisha Muyosarelu and thank you for coming back to my channel for yet another movie review. What I do on my channel basically are reviews, everything about lifestyle, everything in my head, everything I find interesting. And yes, I hope that you come back always to check out my thoughts, especially on movies, music, and every other stuff in between. Yes, if you're new on my channel, please remember to like and subscribe. Please take a moment to just subscribe to my channel. I try to bring in very interesting content that you love. And yes, please don't go without subscribing. This is very important. Okay, I'm sure you saw the trailer of Rattlesnake, the movie, and as well from my intro, you know that I'm about to tell you what I think about this movie. I'm smiling a lot because I'm trying to hide my pain. Guys, I am really trying to hide my pain. Like, I am in severe pain. Like, I am in pain. Okay. Rattlesnake, the movie, is an old movie. A movie that dates back to 1995. I'm sure for some of us who were around during the period, you probably have heard about it. You probably even saw it at the time and all of that. Yeah, brilliant movie at the time. I mean, as far back as 1995. The story is something that was captivating for a lot of people. The story had a lot of people in tears. It had them panicking. It had them shaking up because, I mean, there was violent robbery and all that stuff. So it was a good movie at the time, even despite the fact that most part of it was in Igbo language. You know, people had to deal with subtitle and all of that. So yeah, it was an old movie. And when I heard about the remake, I was sort of excited because, I think Ramsey Noah and his buddies, that's Charles of Play and the other guys in the Play Network studio, have decided to take up the challenge of remaking movies from the past, which I think is a very brilliant thing, because I feel like at that time of DVD, compact disc, and cassette, we didn't really enjoy the quality and some of the interesting stories that came out from way back, if you understand what I mean. And some of us have probably even forgotten some of these stories, and yes, if you ask me, they deserve to be remade. Okay, some of these stories, some of these movies from way back deserve to be remade. So when I saw the move, or the announcement of the move by Play Studio and Ramsey Noah and all that stuff about remaking some movies, I was quite excited. I mean, from Living in Bondage to Ahana to Pretty Serpent, or what's that other one. It was exciting to see, especially after seeing the remake of Living in Bondage, which I think was brilliant, by the way. And considering the fact that Living in Bondage won about 6, 7, 8 awards at the last AMVCA. I can't remember how many awards, but I know it was a lot. At the last AMVCA, it was quality, it was brilliant. I enjoyed Living in Bondage. So when we heard that they were coming out with yet another one, Ahana, Rattlesnake, I was like, yeah, let's do this. I mean, who else would not be excited after seeing what happened in Living in Bondage? But, brethren, brethren, before we get into what we saw, or what I saw at the cinema, let's get into the story. Let me just do a synopsis for you. Rattlesnake is basically the story of a young boy who lost his father at a young age, and then he had to deal with the troubles in his family. They could not feed, they could not meet basic needs that they had, and all of that. In the 1995 version, there were 3 siblings, Ahana and 2 other siblings, one other guy and a girl. And then, the 1995 version spent like 1 hour giving us the background story of Ahana, the fact that his mom and dad were not exactly rich, and then the 3 siblings, I mean the 3 of them, himself and his 2 other siblings, had to deal with going to school. They didn't enjoy the kind of upbringing that you would expect, for children of that age and all that stuff. And then eventually the father died. Returning home to announce his promotion, all of a sudden he collapsed, and then he was rushed to the hospital, stayed in the hospital for a while, eventually died. His mom, Nancy, in the 1995 version, I think they still even maintains the name of the characters in this new one. His mom, Nancy, eventually married Ikem Owo, who was, I think, relative to the father, if I'm not wrong. So basically it was just a story of an average family. Before you knew it, he was able to pull a gang of armed robbers together. His friend was in it, that's Nze, Nze's sister Amara. Just like that. It was just that story that really pulled strings back in the day. One of the questions I asked myself when they talked about the remake of Rattlesnake was, is the remake really worth it? Is Rattlesnake that kind of story that would, that is capable of holding us down in this particular time and age? That was the question I asked myself. I could understand Living in Bondage because, I mean, that story was unique for its occultic nature, and we don't have that much occultic nature movies in this time or in this age. But then robbery, ace, and all that stuff are things that we currently see in Nollywood and even Hollywood today. So I kept asking myself, what's so unique about Ahana or Rattlesnake that these guys want to remake? I did not know that. It's me that will give myself the answer at the end of the day. Okay, so I got to the cinema to enjoy the remake of a movie which I even tried to see. I had to see the 1995 version before going to the cinema, just so that I will, refresh my memory and be sure of what they are serving me. I did not know that. It's a problem. Guys, we got to the cinema, and then the first issue was there was no subtitle for all of the Igbo things I was hearing in the movie. And I'm like, what is going on here? already I expected a story of Ahana, because they said the story was Ahana's story. I expected the story of Ahana, and then trying to take us through his life and how we, became an armed robber, all of the haste and all that stuff. That was what I expected, and actually that was what they tried to do. But from the set go, they were already annoying, scenarios from the fact that there was no subtitle. It took us up to some 20 minutes into the movie before someone stormed out of the cinema like, we can't continue like this. Why is there no subtitle in this movie? And then we found out that the producers of the movie had their subtitle in a very awkward place, that when the cinema is showing the movie in full screen, the subtitle will not show. So eventually we had to beg them to show it in not full screen. We had to beg them not to show it in full screen so that we can have the subtitle hidden somewhere. So we literally did not see the movie in full screen just so we can have the subtitle. What kind of error is that? Okay, now we started seeing the movie. Like I said, you already know the storyline. I know the storyline. I knew what I was expecting. I just wanted them to have awesome cast, replicate, or at least show us what the Ahana story was all about. Let's now talk about the cast that I was expecting us to show me superb acting and interpretation of what I already know. Okay, so I had to make sure that I have my phone to tell you everyone one after the other so I won't miss anybody. So for Ahana, we had Stan Nze, who I think is a brilliant actor, by the way. We had Osas Ighodaro play Amara. We had Efe Iwara play Bala. Tommy Bakri was Ike. Emeka Nwagbaocha was Sango, who was like the youngest of all of the 5 of them or 6 of them, that's the Amandas. We had Elma Mbadiwe. We also had Odera Adimora. Odera Adimora played Egbe, who was also in the armed robbery team with Ahana. We had Buchi Franklin, who played Nze, and Nze is a very important character in the Rattlesnake story because it was Ahana's best friend, sort of, and they were like intact, close, and all that sort of brotherhood kind of thing. And then Amara was Nze's sister. And then we had Fred Amata, who was Senator Obasi. Ridiculous if you ask me, but we'll get to the point. We also had Norbert Young as Ali Mamadou, who was like the villain in the movie. We had Brutus Richard Smoke, who was working for Ali Mamadou, and there was supposed to be his guy who was supposed to help him rat out Snake and the other guys. We had Cassandra Odita as Dark Comfort. That's supposed to be the person that helped Ahana get off the shock of killing his own mother. We also had Chiere Wilfred, who acted Nancy. I told you about Nancy earlier on, but it turned out to be, of course, Nancy is Ahana's mother. There was Gloria Young, who is Chief Ngozi Madu Akpo, I think a police superintendent officer or a police chief or something like that. There was also Tretalu Agu Odinaka. Odinaka was played at the time by Inkemowo. Okay, apart from these guys, we also had Omotola Jolade. We had Nengi. We had, I'm trying to remember, AY Ayomakung. There was actually Nobat Young's child, so it was more like a young family reunion because we had Nobat Young, Gloria Young, and their child in the movie. Who else did we have? Charles of Play featured in it. Characters scattered all around like that. Loved the movie when I saw the trailer, not until I saw the interpretation. For what it's worth, I think what I expected was not what I got. I understand that in the 1995 edition or version, there was a particular point where it felt like Ahana was telling a story, and that was what we got this time fully in the movie. So basically in the old movie, Ahana was telling his own story, and Ahana is also called Snake. That's his pet name or his gang name. He was telling his own story basically, and yes, I could understand that he was telling the story of how his father died, how he was frustrated, how he had to do a lot of things by himself. The country is not fair, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. We know that storyline. But then he got into robbery. He was able to get all of his friends together, and then they started robbery, armed robbery. But one thing I really do not get about the movie is the fact that nothing seems to connect, even as much as they felt like they were trying to connect dots. Nothing was connecting. To be very honest, if I was supposed to lock out the 1995 Rattlesnake and see this movie as Rattlesnake and then try to tell you what I saw in the movie, I'm not sure I'm going to do justice to it, because for most part of it, I'm just like, continuity was zero. And even for some of the people that were introduced into the movie, they didn't even deserve to be on the movie. Or maybe should I say we didn't need to see them in the movie. Someone like Omotola Jolade, who they called, is it the art collector or something? I mean, her first appearance was shallow. The way she said that line was like someone who was just trying to say the lines as fast as possible and leave the camera. Her outfit made her look so puffy, and I'm like, is this really Omotola Jolade? That particular scene also had Child's of Play, had so many of them. There was, I think it was the other one that had Ramsey Noah. And then Ramsey Noah came on board to take us back to living in bondage. Introduced himself as Richard Williams. And then everybody in the cinema was like, that's Richard Williams from Living in Bondage. Appeared in one scene, bought the artwork from one of the aides they went to carry out, and then that's it. I don't know, I just felt lost for most of the movie. Like, I just really felt lost. You know when they say, okay, you get entertained and educated, and I'm looking for the entertained and educated because I couldn't find it. All of the move of robbery was not even as intelligent as I thought it was going to be. I mean, guys, you remember Merry Men now. Even if what they were doing, we know that it's just, jagba, but they still tried to show some level of intelligence in it. See Fowles that was trying to crack this thing, and what's that guy, Williams to Chamber. Like, you could kind of feel it that, okay, these guys, okay, this is ace about to happen. They're about to, go into planned robbery and all that stuff. But these guys were just, 1 minute you see that they're trying to get out of a particular compromising situation. The next minute they've shot people and then they're already safe. How? Everything was just not connecting. Nothing was connecting. At some point when we had the senator, that's Fred Amata, approached Nobel Young to tell her that the Amandas were causing the president sleepless nights. I'm like, how are these guys even acting like this? How are they interpreting their roles like this? I mean, everything just felt like tired actors who were brought together to tell a story that they found impossible. That was how I felt. And then that moment where they all had to go to South Africa. I mean, they just finished a robbery. Not even just finished the robbery. I can't remember the scene that now led us to South Africa. They just took us from point A to point B without telling us why they are going to point B, and all of a sudden we're all in South Africa, and then they introduced Nengi in 30 seconds, and that was our role. All she said was, oh, I see you like the good life. I mean, she was talking to Amara. I see you like the good life and the shining life, and Kiniko, and that was it, oh, my brothers and sisters. I knew that Nengi was going to make a ridiculous appearance because they had finished shooting Rattlesnake when Nengi came out of Big Brother. So because play management are the one who took her in after Big Brother, I mean, they are now a management company, they decided to give her a role in Rattlesnake. So they literally flew everybody out to South Africa. So I remember when Nengi went to South Africa, they literally flew everyone to South Africa to just have that enjoyment scene, and then Nengi was introduced in one of the enjoyment scenes, and that was it. And then all of a sudden they returned to Nigeria, and then they showed one scene where Hannah was talking about giving the money they've made to the poor who need it, and then that was where Amanda's was really resounded, and then I was just like, really? Like, really? Is this it? Even the girl, okay, of course, Anna had a love interest in Amara. Eventually, the love interest moved to another lady who, according to them, helped them in one of their break-in to steal artwork, And then before we knew it, he had to run away or escape, elope leaving his gang who were already in trouble with this other love interest, and then that's Elma. And for what is worth, I understand that we have naturalistas in movie, but I think that naturalistas should always try to make an effort. Because you're naturalista doesn't mean you should carry one air all through the movie. I mean, there was when they left the country to another country to stay for a while, this lady, they said some years later, which turned out to be 5 years later, still had the same hair. How? Like how? And then all of a sudden, Amara was so pissed after her brother returned from prison because they were in trouble. The other group the other team led by Chief Ali Momodu, who was looking for them, came after the other guys. And then Amara saw something on the internet about this lady that helps them get the artwork at the gallery, and then she could relate that, okay, maybe this was a lady that, I don't know even how she got to figure out, like this was a lady Ahana ran away with. So she had to go to those people that were looking for Ahana to say, okay, I'm going to bring him to you. What she demanded for was the release of her brother and the other guys from prison. And to be very, very honest, she somehow from nowhere gave up Ahana's location, and all of a sudden Chief Ali Momodu was already in Ahana's house. How? I think there was nothing connecting, nothing intelligent about this movie. For the most part, I'm like, do they think we are fools? Even when they go for robbery, how they escape. Remember, there was this Ayomaku scene, which was about the only scene that made me chuckle, by the way, where they went to steal money from him, campaign money and all that. And then Ayo was making some very funny remark. I laughed. And then while they were trying to escape from Ayomaku's house, police came, and then all of a sudden we just saw that police bodies were on the floor, and then they've escaped. How? I don't know, but I just really feel that this is so ridiculous. I don't know if they rushed it. I don't know what happened. The continuity was poor. Imagine living in bondage where they made an album out of it for soundtrack. There was no single soundtrack in Ahana. Not one soundtrack. Ha! Not just that, right? All of the actors, I mean, all of them. Osas maybe tried, but sometimes I feel like she didn't even know what she was doing. Jolade was worse. Nengi introduction was horrible. Maybe Nze, that's Buchi, right? Maybe Nze is the only one who tried to bring out something out of this movie. Even times when somebody had the gun to their head, they would just show them fidgeting small. Before you know it, they are shake, they've gone off it again. And that final scene of the ace when Ali Momodu told them to go break a bank, it was even more annoying to see that was all they could come up with. Like, all of a sudden Amara was working in the bank. All of a sudden Ahana had an escape plan. Okay, yeah, fine, we know Ahana to be smart. They call him the snake after all. And then his plan was that they would tell people to come, that the Amandas are coming to share money. Okay, fine, maybe it worked. And then eventually when they broke out of the bank, they tried to put money in the air. Obviously people would run to get the money, but they were surrounded. Police were there. How will people, average Nigerians, come to a place? They obviously saw policemen, and then they still stayed there trying to catch money in the air. Okay, fine, let's even say they are that bold. Shooting started. Police were shooting. Nze and police were exchanging gun. And then the people were still catching money. How? Okay, you told us about a particular smoke or smoky that is very dangerous. How did he die? The guy obviously killed the guy's wife, so I guess there was obviously vendetta. But smoke that you showed us was, even me, I was scared of looking into his eye when we were watching the movie. He just took wire from the car and then strangled him. No fighting back, nothing. Smoke just died like that. Almighty Smoke. Ha! I don't know, but there were so many loopholes that if you even ask me to rate this movie, I don't know how to rate it. Nothing, I mean absolutely nothing worked for me in this movie. Nothing worked, and I think that trying to bring living in bondage into it is even more annoying. Okay, maybe there's going to be a sequel to a sequel, because that's where they are driving at right now. We know that living in bondage didn't exactly end, you know, perfectly. They tried to show us that there might be a continuation. This also had the same storyline where Hannah was now talking about the fact that because his own son witnessed the killing of his mother, who was killed by Amara, by the way, of course, vendetta, might just turn out to be something else, and then they ended it like that. There was no climax, there was no rise, there was no anticlimax or whatever. There was nothing, absolutely nothing in this movie to talk about. That's why you can even see that I'm dancing around, because I don't even know where to start from. I just wish you guys would go see this movie and maybe help me out with something that you find extra, you know, comparing it to what you saw in the 1995 movie, because what I just saw, the trailer was all hyped and mad, but the movie, I don't know. But I'll pick Merry Men over it over and over and again, because I think that was even some sort of intriguing movie as far as I'm concerned, infused with comedy, because we didn't even laugh. People slept in the cinema all through. We all eased out of the cinema. People were just like, what did I just watch? What did I just watch? That was how I felt. Like, what did I just watch? I don't know, but I think if this is how they were going to go from living in bondage, which was high up here, to this down here, they should just stop remake for what it's worth. Like, let them just stop remaking movies. We are no longer interested. We don't want any more, please, because this was such a waste of my time. Guys, I'm done ranting. I don't think there's anything worth hyping here. Of course, we know that the camera quality and whatever was good, but apart from that, I'm sorry to say nothing else. And that's why I'm just going to leave the rest of my thoughts with you. Please go see the movie. Come back and let me know what you think about it. At that point, we'll definitely be talking some more in the comment section. I don't want to rate it, because if I rate it, it will be really bad. So let me just leave the rating to you when you go see it and you return to come tell me what you think about it. But for right now, this is just me basically ranting, because nah, no way, absolutely no way this is a 21st century movie. No way. I'm done, guys. I'm going to see you in the next one. Hopefully that I don't get to see any more disappointing movies this year, because coming from all of the movies I've reviewed recently, I think this just gives my heart, it pieces my heart, like literally, and I'm just sad. Please remember to like or subscribe. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye.